continues. The Mamba mentality has left a mark. Shout out to the NBA legend, Kobe, and your daughter, Gigi. From Tom Brady to Drew Bledsoe. Rain, sleet, or snow, I grind. Maker.
Clip it. Let's go.
I am the game changer.
Hello, and welcome to the TWSN Patreon page. Here we will provide you with the sports betting tips, picks, and information in order for you to become a successful gambler. We have 5 packages that I think really do an incredible job of providing the information tailored to you, what you want, and what your sports betting needs are. For more information, reach out to the TWSN team, but we have a ton of stuff coming your way. Content from fantasy football, sports betting for UFC, NBA, NHL, and of course, the NFL. We are so excited to be able to bring this service to you, and let us know if there's any more information you need.
Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now because it's the place that it all goes down on.
Thanks guys for joining us for another episode of the Game Changers live on the Right Way Sports Network's YouTube channel. I'm your host, CEO of the Right Way Sports Network, Malik Wright, joined with my co-host. We got Alex Sagini, Aidan Mayer, Daniel Alameda, Dash Pedersen, Cody in the building. A lot of stuff we got to talk about. We're gonna recap NFL Week 2. Get y'all pumped and jazzed up for NFL Week 3. UFC 266 is on the horizon, and we appreciate you guys for joining us. Also, want to do a great shout out to everyone who follows and subscribes to the TWSN YouTube channel as we have officially crossed over 1K. Can't say thank you enough. A lot of great content coming out. A lot more stuff ahead. A lot more stuff planned. With that being said, guys, we want to get right into the show. I'll start it off in boxing. Canelo Alvarez, and I see Dash is smiling already, so he kind of knows where I'm going with this. Canelo Alvarez is scheduled to fight Caleb Plant to unify the middleweight championships in boxing. They had their face-off, how they do in every single sport, and here's what happened. So Canelo and Caleb Plant are unifying the middleweight championship. They had a face-off, got a little heated. Guys start pushing and shoving one another. Slap Canelo in the face. Canelo lets off a 2-piece, cuts Caleb Plant under the eye. I almost said Billy Joe Saunders here because literally a few months ago he just fought Billy Joe Saunders here. But what do you guys make of this? Do you think Showtime dropped the ball? I mean, we're talking about a huge fight. I'm talking about a super middleweight unification bout. And these two put their hands on one another before the fight. The fight could have been in jeopardy. It's not like the UFC. It's not like bare knuckle fighting, right? Where essentially you can put your hand on somebody and you got the shenanigans back and forth. No, in boxing, the fight is in jeopardy if a guy gets a paper cut. In boxing, the fight is in jeopardy if a guy gets a cut under his eye. Dash, I'm gonna start with you. I know you're a big combat guy, just like myself. What are your thoughts? Do you think Showtime screwed up letting this? Do you think they dropped the ball on that one or what?
Absolutely, they did. I think that if you look at the cut that Caleb Plant has on his face, it's pretty deep. It's not no paper cut. It's a big deal. I think that this fight legitimately could get canceled, and that is just such a dumb thing to allow to happen. I don't see how there wasn't a moderator there standing in between these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like UFC, you always see Dana White standing right there. I don't know where that was. That was just bad all around. And I mean, if Caleb Plant gets in the ring with Canelo, it's going to look a lot like what it just did. I think.
Whoa! No, I don't agree wholeheartedly. I don't agree with that totally.
I don't know, man.
I don't agree with that totally.
That's a cut that can get reopened real easily.
Caleb Sweet Feet Plant, man, that's my guy, man. I know he's not beating Canelo Alvarez, but he is no dog. He is no walk in the park for Canelo Alvarez. Cody, what are your thoughts on that? You're kind of quiet over there. What are your thoughts on that on that whole situation?
I mean, I've seen a fight between a YouTube promoter and a retired NBA basketball player promoted better than this fight. I have seen a fight between a YouTuber and a retired UFC fighter promoted better than this fight. This is one of the better bouts in boxing that we've seen in a while, and it has gotten little to no promotion. And the other issue is I think they're taking Jake Paul can do the little got your hat bullshit with Mayweather, and that blows up on the internet. And then you see something like this, and this isn't the same. These guys are professionals. They're doing it at the highest level. This isn't no amateur, like, exhibition match stuff, right? Like, you can't let them have the same leeway that you have for, quite frankly, entertainers who are fighting, not fighters who are entertaining. So it's childish. It's stupid. It shouldn't have happened. I think it was a bad, quite essentially gimmick on Showtime's part, letting something like this happen.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with you. I think that it was stupid on their part. But if you know, sort of, if any of you guys watched the press conference leading up to it, pretty much what happened was, Caleb Plant says, "I'm going to knock you out, mother effer," and then Canelo, obviously, there's a severe language barrier. Canelo's like, "Don't talk about my mother," and he's like, "Wait, what? I'm not talking about your mother. I'm saying I'm going to F you up, mother effer." He's like, "Don't talk about my mom. Don't talk about my mama." And then basically all hell broke loose. It was literally just a misinterpretation of it. And then these guys face off, no promoter there, no security there. What did you expect to happen? For all those guys, for all of you people who watch combat sports and you watch the interviews or you watch the press conferences and you're like, "Oh, these guys are just doing this for show. They're doing this for show and the security's holding them back." This shows you right then and there that when tensions rise and the situation gets heated, this could happen. So the reason why we're talking about it, guys, because like I said, this was an egregious error on Showtime's part because you have one of the biggest boxing bouts, and as Cody stated, in recent memory, in jeopardy, because two guys just don't like each other and they decided to take a couple swings at one another. So Showtime, we'll see how that results. Hopefully we get to see the fight on November 6th. I certainly want to see it. Guys, we want to move on. Anybody else had anything else that they want to add to it?
I mean, first off, I disagree. I think that this is what, I mean, before this fight, the reason why we're talking about it right now is because of this altercation. We wouldn't talk about it on the show if it wasn't for what happened, right? We would maybe talk about it before the fight, like the week before the fight, but we're talking about this fight months in advance. So that's, I think, in my opinion, it's a great thing, right? And to Cody's point about the YouTuber thing, boxing should learn a thing or two about how they promoted fights, right? So I'm not saying that, hey, if this fight gets called off, obviously that's an issue. But right now, the fact that we're talking about this fight, I think it's a good thing. So in my opinion, I like this.
I don't think the reason why we're talking about it necessarily is because a good thing. We're talking about it because this fight is in jeopardy of not happening, all because a cut happened in a fight. That's why we're talking about it right now. And I think everyone can agree here that this is a fantastic fight, and it's something we definitely would have touched on, had it been right before the event. But the simple fact is this fight is in jeopardy of not happening, all because of an egregious error on Showtime's part. So no, I don't think a brawl between two boxers is good for the sport of boxing before the fight, because the fight might not happen all because of that dumb brawl. But moving on, guys, UFC 266, Nick Diaz is returning to the octagon. Yes, Nick Diaz, the older brother of Nate Diaz, the king of Don't Be Scared, homie, is returning to the UFC octagon. Honestly, guys, I'm shocked. I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't see it happening, but you know what? It's here. It's here. So at the end of the day, Nick Diaz is returning to the UFC this upcoming weekend, and the big thing that just recently happened, we were talking about it off the air right before we went live, was Nick Diaz is already given the UFC fits. He comes into this, he's like, you know what? The fight, I know the fight is scheduled to be a welterweight bout, but I'm Nick Diaz. I'm the whole damn show. I'm the main event. I'm the reason why people want to watch this fight, this fight card, if you will. Let's change this fight. I don't really feel like cutting weight. Let's make it a middleweight bout. And it got agreed to. It's already happening. Nick Diaz is calling his shots. So I just want to go around, the show panel here, and I want to ask everyone, what do you think? What do you think the ramifications of Nick Diaz returning to the sport of UFC is. We obviously know how big of a deal him and his brother are to the sport of mixed martial arts. Alex, I'm going to start with you because I'm sure you're going to lay some money on this because you always typically do.
Yeah, let me just say, call me crazy, and I know this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but Nick Diaz pleading and talking about changing the weight makes him look weak. They agreed upon a weight to fight at, and frankly, if I was Robbie Lawler, I would be pissed off because this weight was agreed on, and you get right to the date, and Nick Diaz doesn't want to cut weight. I mean, that's part of the sport. Robbie Lawler was prepared and ready to cut his weight to make his weight, and Nick Diaz couldn't do it. I completely disagree with how that was handled. I don't think they should have given that or agreed to that for Nick Diaz. I get he's the bigger name in this, but that doesn't mean it's almost unfair, I would call it. And I think that's a load of crap. With that being said, I still love this fight. I can't wait to watch Nick Diaz return to action. And yes, I'm going to throw some money on it. I'm going to look more into it. I'm going to, of course, listen to the predictions from the guys on the Right Way Sports Network combat staff, and then I might make my pick.
I was going to ask you. That was my next thing. I was going to ask you who are you going with in that fight, but you look like who are you leaning to? Come on, Alex.
I'm leaning towards Nick Diaz.
You're leaning towards Nick Diaz. Okay. I think that is I think that makes sense. Here's something to note. I want to make sure that I have this correct. So, yeah, I have this correct. Robbie Lawler has not fought in the middleweight division of the UFC since 2004. He has not fought in the middleweight division of the UFC since 2004. So take that for what it's worth. All this time he's been fighting at the welterweight division. I happen to think that the middleweight division helps Nick Diaz, but we'll see.
It does, and that's why I'm saying it's not fair that at this short of notice that it gets changed. That's not fair.
Right. Aidan, what are your thoughts?
This is amazing for the sport. Nick Diaz is an absolute legend. Fans love him. This is going to obviously sell some tickets and get fans riled up. But the last time I believe Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz went at it was 2004. I wasn't even born. It's been 17 years. When do you see this? That we go a decade and a half in between a guy's last fight between each other. This is huge. Not only are these just two legends in the sport, but to see this over time, 17 years go by until they fight again. I think that's amazing. I think that's fun. I think that's something you have to watch and see because we hardly ever see that in the UFC. So I'm really excited for it. I've been trying to get into the UFC, and I've heard a lot about Nick Diaz, so I'm excited to see him fight.
Cody, I'm sure you got some thoughts on it. I'm curious to hear who you're thinking about laying some money down on this weekend, if at all, Cody. Cody, what are your thoughts on the iconic Nick Diaz, the Stockton Slap King, has returned to the UFC? What are your thoughts on this?
He is that guy, pal.
He is.
He is that guy, pal.
He is, pal. So,
look, I'm super excited for this fight. The last time we've seen Nick in the octagon, it's been a long, long time. So
2015.
I'm excited, man. It should be a great fight. I got to go with Diaz, but that's a fan at heart, right? Don't take a ton of stock into my opinion, but I love Nick in this fight. It should be a blast to watch.
Let me just say something. I know I'm just adding some great commentary to this thing. I can't go for a guy that lost to Ben Askren. I just can't. Robbie Lawler, I know even that was BS when he lost to Ben Askren because they said his arm went limp, but you got to lost to Ben Askren on your record. That does not look good. It does not age well, especially in the year 2021 after Jake Paul knocked him out. It does not look good at this part. Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go with Nick, right? Lawler hasn't, we talked about Nick Diaz hasn't fought since 2015. Lawler hasn't won since 2017, right? I think it's 4 straight fights he's lost. His last fight, it was in 2020 against Neil Magny. But I don't know. I have to go with Nick Diaz, especially with the fact that he just changed weight classes here all in the span of a week right before the fight. So I'm going to go with Nick. I'm just excited to see him, excited to see how the crowd reacts to him.
And the crazy part, guys, is that was agreed to today. That was agreed to today, so the weight was just switched today. Dash, take us home here with it. What are your thoughts?
I think this could be huge for the UFC in general. You look at a guy coming in who doesn't necessarily go along with Dana White. He comes in, he says, look, you're going to take me back. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to get the fight up to 185. I'm going to not show up to media day. I'm just going to do what I feel like. And to me, this looks like it almost seems like Dana White's test run about potentially getting John Jones back in the action. Call me crazy if you want, but I think John Jones we could see a similar return for him where he's going to come in, pick somebody out. I don't necessarily think it'll be old beef. I think it'll be new. But, I mean, hey, I think this certainly sets the stage for it. But as for the actual fight, I'm going to save most of my analysis for this weekend, Saturday, UFC pre-show.
Yes,
but I will say I got Nick Diaz going submission. If you get submitted by a guy like Ben Askren, you're not going to hang with one of the best.
I think Nick Diaz by knockout personally, and I might have just let the cat out of the bag already. But I will say this, guys, just to give you a little understanding for those of you who just start watching UFC or just don't understand it necessarily, just to show you how much time has passed in the sport and lapsed in the sport. The last time, Nick Diaz fought in the octagon was 2015, right? He got suspended for smoking weed. Let's call it for what it is. He got suspended for years on years, multiple years for smoking weed. You now have guys at press conferences, his brother actually being one of those guys, smoking weed during press conferences. So the UFC has come a long way from suspending fighters for a little bit of substance. Anyway, guys, we'll see what happens this upcoming week. But guys, we want to switch our focus, our attention to the NFL. The NFL. I want to start with one team really quickly to open us up here, guys. And they were pretty much the team that I gotta apologize to. The Baltimore Ravens, man. As you guys saw, the cover of the show I tried to go with the Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt thing. It didn't go too great for me. That was probably not one of my greatest, thumbnails. But hey, it is what it is. Those of you who are rap fans, you know what Reasonable Doubt is. I'm sure Cody listens to that while he works out and sends me Snapchats of him banging and clanging on, in the gym and things of that nature. Yeah, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I gotta apologize, man. I dug you a grave, man. I dug the Baltimore Ravens a grave. I think even when we talked about it last week, a lot of us thought the Chiefs were gonna win this one. Holy hell! The Baltimore Ravens beat the Kansas City Chiefs in large part due to the same reason why they almost lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, due to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson opened the game the worst way you could open up an NFL game. He threw, I think the first throw was a pick six to Tyrann Mathieu. Mm-hmm. He comes back out the next drive and throws another interception to Tyrann Mathieu. What's the one thing you cannot do going against the Kansas City Chiefs? Does anybody want to answer that?
Give the offense the ball.
Turn the ball over. Give the offense the ball. How about go down early? Go down early. Yo, Lamar Jackson was able to will his team back. And let me just say, it was Lamar Jackson who willed the team back, which is why he was my personal offensive player, because there's no offensive player that had this big of an impact on his football team absolutely winning a game quite like the Baltimore Ravens did this week. There were a lot of other guys who had a hell of a week. But in terms of if you take one player out of the football game and you say they do not win this game because of this player, Lamar Jackson is the epitome of, the week 2 offensive MVP, in my humble opinion. What are you guys' thoughts on it, Cody? I see you shaking your head, Cody. We're going to start with you. Look,
Lamar Jackson was the best player in this game. Ain't no doubt about it. He dominated offensively. That being said, it took I understand that he did have the pick six, right? Mm-hmm. Another interception, right? So he had 2 turnovers. But it took a dang near perfect game by the Chiefs or by the Ravens to win this game by 1 point. Mm-hmm. The Ravens still have their flaws. I mean, they lost to the Raiders. The Raiders are 2-0, but I do not think they are world beaters by any means.
Right.
I still have concerns. I still have concerns about the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. And I understand that right now that they look solid. Mm-hmm. The wide receivers that they have on the field have never shown the ability to sustain health for a full season. Marquise Brown has never played in a full season. Sammy Watkins has never played a full season. But I take that back. Sammy Watkins last time he played a full season had a Buffalo's Bills jersey on, so you know how long that's been.
Might have been his rookie year too.
Yeah. So look, we'll see. It's early. I expect a team that runs the ball a lot to be good early. We'll see how they feel in December.
You know what's funny that you said that, Cody? I was literally meaning to text you yesterday. I said, I was looking at the lines for some of the games coming up this week. I said, that Detroit Lions game, hear me out. Before you guys rip me, before you guys ridicule me, that smells like a trap game to me for the Baltimore Ravens. That seems to me like a game that the Baltimore Ravens would absolutely lose because let me tell you something. I watched the Lions the last 2 weeks. They are not a playoff team, but they can shock and surprise some teams, in my honest opinion. I just thought that the Green Bay Packers had a lot to play for, which is why they won Monday night. But this would not shock me one bit if the Detroit Lions beat the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday in Detroit, might I add. Aidan, what are your thoughts? Aidan, you got that serious look on your face. Look like you're about to, break some film down. Let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on this game?
I kind of stand with Cody. I'm still concerned about the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't have them making the playoffs to start the year. And listen, they're going to be a good football team. They're going to be competitive. We just saw it on Sunday night. Lamar Jackson absolutely willed that team back to victory after what was a horrendous first quarter. But he looked really good outside of that. But I'm still very concerned about this football team. As I said, there's just, with all the injuries that have happened, that week 1 performance against the Raiders was just bad. I don't know how else to put it. I'm not a big believer in the Raiders either after their 2-0 start.
Don't say that too loud. Tristan might see it.
No, that's okay. I'll say it loud and clear because I want people to know when November and December comes around and this team has 5-6 wins and they're not in the playoff picture.
Can we just talk for a second? I want to get this out there to all my Giants fans, to all my Chiefs fans, Pranav. And I want to address you guys really, really direct. Steve Spagnuolo is not a great defensive coordinator. I know that he won the Giants. He was the defensive coordinator for the Giants during the Super Bowl runs. He is not a great defensive coordinator. Anytime you take the best player, and I don't say this lightly, anytime you take the best player on your defensive line and you say, you know what we're gonna do? We're going to play him on the edge, even though he's a defensive tackle. He took Chris Jones and made Alejandro Villanueva look competent at left tackle because he decided to play Chris Jones at defensive end. Chris Jones is not a defensive end, and I'm sitting here watching the game with a buddy of mine, and I'm like, okay, maybe they just did that for a series. But the same thing started happening to them over and over again. Lamar Jackson's running up the gut. Tyshawn Williams is running up the gut. And I'm like, okay, they're certainly going to move Chris Jones back to the middle at some point. Nope. And guess where the Ravens went? Up the middle. Yep. Guess where they stayed away from? Away from the edge. Guess who lost? The Kansas City Chiefs. Dash, what are your thoughts?
I'm not ready to buy Ravens stock again. I still think that they're not necessarily the quality of the team that a lot of fans the Ravens are used to. I think they still have great coaching and great quarterback play, and that will always win you some football games. But we look at the downsides of the team, the turnovers. That's going to be a problem. If Lamar Jackson's turning the ball over twice or more every week, that's going to be a problem. Week 1 it was fumbles, week 2 it was picks. If he's going to keep turning the ball over, teams are going to take advantage of it. And I think the Kansas City defense, you were right, looked bad. I think that we have to credit some of this loss to how poorly the Kansas City defense played, besides the 2 picks. They did force the turnovers, but the Ravens did whatever they wanted. They did play a great game, and they were coached well, but this Ravens team is what I thought they were. They're a well-coached team. They have a good quarterback. Around him, it isn't the same. Their defense isn't great. They did well enough, but it isn't a team that's going to go to the playoffs still, in my opinion.
Well, how about that call? Lamar, what do you want to do? Harbaugh, John Harbaugh showing absolute confidence in his young quarterback, man, his quarterback. He's showing absolute, confidence in Lamar Jackson. He's like, what do you want to do, Lamar? What do you want to do here? Lamar says, of course, Lamar always, every player wants to go for it. Every running back wants to go for it. So it makes sense. So I just thought that was awesome that he showed confidence in him, that he showed, the faith in his starting running back that, when the game is on the line, you're going to be able to get that first down. You're going to be able to run for that first down for us and get us that first down, man. Because we know what you're capable of doing at the running back. He should be the highest paid running back in the NFL.
Your guy
should be.
Is third in the NFL. When your guy's third in the NFL in rushing, you can let him take the ball in fourth down.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think that's an issue.
At that point, Lamar Jackson was the best running back on the field for them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's 100%. A fantastic running back, a great running back. He's an okay quarterback.
He's the best ball carrier.
Yes. But at that point, when you decide to tuck the ball and run, you are no longer a wide receiver. You are no longer a quarterback. Oh, this is a horrendous take. I'm literally just trying to discredit Lamar right now. But
yeah, bad
good
take.
Way. I mean,
I was going to say this one's getting rougher as he goes.
Yeah. It's almost like your Jets are going to win the division take last year.
Yeah, like equally as bad.
Yeah,
imagine.
Absolutely. Alex, we're gonna go to you here. What do you? I know you always start everyone like I love Lamar, so we're gonna let you start this one off. What are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson? Just absolutely letting it all hang out and getting the Ravens to win that on Sunday.
The number one slight to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, like basically since he's taken over, is that if you can get up on them early, they can't come back. And the Chiefs got up early and looked like they were going to dominate this game, and the Ravens stood strong and found a way to pull it out. And for that, you have to give the Ravens a ton of credit. They proved everyone wrong because everyone says that's the blueprint to beat them, but it didn't work. The Ravens stuck with it. They kept the game close enough for Lamar to do his thing, balled out, the best quarterback in the AFC North right now. I'm sorry to everyone that's going to freak out, but yeah, Lamar Jackson is an absolute beast when it comes down to it, and he showed it.
He's the best what?
He's the best quarterback in the AFC North. Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback in the AFC North.
He is, and it ain't close.
Yeah, like I hate saying that, but that's just the truth. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, he absolutely balled out. I think the Ravens are a much better team than even I gave them credit for week after week one. I did overreact to their loss to the Raiders. While I still don't think there's some type of, I still don't even think they win their division. I do think that they're a really good football team and better than me and a lot of others on this show gave them credit for.
Daniel, take us home.
Yeah, I agree. I think my biggest concern, first off, let me give credit to Lamar. I did say many times that if you get up on the Ravens, especially now with all the injuries, that they wouldn't be able to come back. So I'll give him credit, right? Lamar Jackson looked great. But to Cody's point about the whole perfect game, they had to play a perfect game to do this. It gave me hope. Like maybe Lamar can do this in the playoffs, but the reality is right now they're going to need to play perfect for 3 straight games in the playoffs. 3 straight games. I don't know if that can happen. So I'm a little concerned still with this team, with the roster. And yeah, but hey, give credit to Lamar Jackson. He pulled one out of his behind and absolutely showed why he's a top talent in this league.
All right, we're going to touch on a couple of quick notes for for week 2. Justin Fields came in relief of Andy Dalton. Initial thoughts, initial reactions. How did you think Justin Fields looked? I thought he looked like trash, to be completely honest with you. I thought that if there's one thing that if I was a Bears fan I would take away from that game Sunday was Andy Dalton still needs to be your starter. Me personally right now, because I know you wanted to be hyped. I know people wanted to see the new shiny toy, but he played like shit, to be completely honest with you. And if I was a team, I would rather play. I'd be more scared of Andy Dalton than Justin Fields as a starting quarterback for this football team right now. That is not indicative of what he's going to become, but as it stands right now, Justin Fields is not the best starting quarterback on the Bears roster.
I agree with you, but here's my only qualm with it. Look, Andy Dalton is no doubt right. In that game, Andy Dalton could move the ball better than Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. The offense was harder to stop with Andy Dalton than Justin Fields. But Justin Fields is going to grow so much with every new game he plays. Sure. And let's be real, Andy Dalton is not winning you that division. Andy Dalton is not taking you anywhere with that team. Yeah, I'm sure maybe he'll do a little bit better than Justin Fields for a little bit. But throw Justin Fields in the fire. A lot of people say you shouldn't. I like it when a young quarterback gets thrown in the fire. They have to learn. He'll learn. It's not like he has an awful team around him. It's not like you're sending him out there alone. He's going to have some growing pains, sure. But once he gets through those growing pains, he's going to be so much better than Andy Dalton ever would.
He does have a bad team around him.
He does.
This is exactly what I had predicted at the beginning of the season. The Bears were going to screw this up so poorly because they gave their first team reps to a, quite frankly, less talented quarterback all offseason and all camp and all preseason, and then the first 2 games of the regular season, and then they threw their guy into the fire and said, hey, go win us a football game. Now they got to win. Barely. It took 3 consecutive turnovers on 3 consecutive plays from Joe Burrow, but they won. Look, Justin Fields should have been the starting quarterback from the get-go. He should have been. And because the Bears were never at any point competitive in this division. Not at all. There's at no point would you have ever been able to convince me that anybody outside of the Packers or Vikings, who I am even still down on, would win this division. So why not give your guy a chance to work? Of course he looked like crap. He hasn't played with the first team at all. Well, why would you expect him to look good? Right? Like him and his quarterback were not, or his receivers were not in sync. Allen Robinson had 2 catches that game.
Allen Robinson also dropped a touchdown.
He did drop a touchdown.
A good, well-placed ball from Justin Fields for a
touchdown. It wasn't just well placed. I mean, it was also. I mean, Cheetah Bay-Awuzie made a great play on the ball.
Yeah, it went straight through his arm. It went straight through his arm.
But it was still well defended. At the same time, right? Like that, you are now stuck in a terrible limbo situation as Matt Nagy. You are either going to get your quarterback a couple. They're going to do the same thing that they did with Mitch Trubisky. They're going to get him reps for a couple of games, and then Andy Dalton's going to come back, and then it's going to be in this terrible limbo situation where if you put Andy Dalton back in, the fans are going to hate you. If you keep Justin Fields out then you're going to make your blocker. Honestly, I don't see the problem with keeping Andy Dalton or Justin Fields out there. But for him to go out there and say today, Andy Dalton is our starting quarterback when healthy, come on, pal.
From a schematic standpoint, Cody, and I'm going to address what you said as well because I want to make sure some couple things I want to say about that. But I think from a schematic standpoint, that the Bears' offense doesn't look good. Not just from a roster talent perspective, but just from a schematical standpoint. You look at some of what these receivers are doing, they're not getting separation. They've really struggled against some of these Bengals cornerbacks and things of that nature. But to your point, Cody, I don't know if you were addressing me or if you were addressing the Chicago faithful, but I'm simply saying, a lot of Bears fans were clamoring for Justin Fields to come in there and start, right? But the reason why I was hammering the table at this point in the stage that Andy Dalton should stay in that quarterback is because he didn't, to your exact point, he didn't have those reps. He didn't have that opportunity to grow under the Bears' number 1 system and things like that. And for people to think he was going to come in there and be a world beater, the game still needs to slow down for you. They say the game doesn't slow down for a quarterback until about year 2. Right? So, I mean, the fact that you're throwing him in there in a mid-game situation because you had an injury to Andy Dalton, I don't know. I don't know if he's being set up for the most success, but here's look on the bright side. I don't believe Matt Nagy will be the head coach there next year. That's just me putting it bluntly. Say what you want, say what you will. I think he's going to be out of there. Matt Nagy doesn't know what he wants to do. I want to keep it going. Tua Tagovailoa is out with injury, guys. Tua Tagovailoa is out with another injury. And Jacoby Brissett is now the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. I will say this. I'm happy that it doesn't seem as serious as it was and made out to be at first, or how it looked, him being carted off. It does seem like he's only going to miss maybe like a week or two. We'll see. But if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, right, or you're in the Miami Dolphins front office, are you concerned at this point? I mean, Tua Tagovailoa has been hurt every single year at this stage. And you didn't see the proper progression from him that you would expected to see going into year 2. Because let's be honest with you, the Bills were in control of that game even before he got hurt. He didn't look amazing in the Patriots game either. He didn't look great in the preseason. I don't know. At this stage, if you're the Miami Dolphins front office, let's put our thinking caps on. We're the Miami Dolphins front office. What do you do with Tua Tagovailoa? What do you do? Forgetting Tua for a second. What do you do with the quarterback position heading into next season? Because you got to think that this is going to hurt the Dolphins in terms of what what they had hoped to accomplish this season, because it feels like broken ribs are a thing that is going to linger, all season, just as Drew Brees. Daniel, what are your thoughts? We'll start with you.
Yeah, first off, I am concerned. If I'm a Miami's Dolphins fan, I am concerned. I'm concerned about the offensive line, right? So before I get to Tua, let's talk about that offensive line. It's bad. It's bad. They put some draft capital into it. Yes. Austin Jackson. Yes. Robert Hunt. But it's bad. On the play that Tua got hurt, he had 1.3 seconds to throw the ball. A.J. Epinesa came off a rush going up against Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki got completely blown by. Tua got rocked, right? So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm still, because yes, Tua's ceiling is capped as a quarterback. They realize, okay, his talent, he is talented. I believe his ceiling is a top, at most top 12 in the game managing tier quarterbacks. But you're either going to go get a Deshaun Watson, go get an Aaron Rodgers, or you're going to stick with Tua, right? Tua showed me good enough last year and in week 1 and in week 2 or not really week 2, but week 1, that he can be a game managing quarterback. He can be a guy who runs within the system, RPOs, quick slants, throwing up a deep ball to Devontae Parker. If you fix that offensive line, Tua can lead a playoff contending roster. But it all revolves around that offensive line. So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm looking at 1, Deshaun Watson, 2, Aaron Rodgers. If not, you stick with Tua, fix that offensive line, and then you're fine.
If we're going to talk about stick with Tua.
Why?
Cody, go ahead. I'll get to it in a little bit.
Okay, I do want to address, if we're going to talk about a team drafting a wide receiver in the first round in the top 10 picks when they needed incredible offensive line help, and we are going to throw the Bengals under the bus, like every media personality is throwing the Cincinnati Bengals under the bus over the course of the offseason, why are we not doing the same with the Dolphins? They had just as bad of an offensive line, just as bad of a situation, and they drafted Jalen Waddle instead of Penei Sewell, who was still on the board. Why are they somehow relieved of that? And they went out and they signed a free agent wide receiver in Will Fuller. They addressed the wide receiver room prior to the draft. And then they still went out and drafted a guy. What are we doing? So that makes me a little upset as a Bengals fan. But the other thing that we have to talk about is we haven't seen Tua play healthy. He was coming off a surgery that, quite frankly, a lot of people didn't think he was going to play at all last year. So we didn't get to see Tua at his full healthy self, and then we've seen it for a game and a half this year. I don't want to make any, assumptions on a guy based off a year and less than 1 full year of football and 0 healthy football.
Well, that's the issue. He's just never healthy. The dude's he was hurt at Alabama. He's been hurt throughout his NFL career so far. And I think Daniel's right. If they are going to build around Tua, you have to rebuild that offensive line. Tua isn't a world beater. He's not going to be an elite quarterback. He can be a serviceable starter that plays within the system, but to maximize that, and he, first of all, has to stay healthy, which is a concern.
Well, hold up. Aidan, last year he didn't get hurt. That's the biggest thing people are forgetting. He didn't get hurt last year. In college, he had that terrible the ankle injury or the knee injury. But this year he got hurt once, and that was from a blindside hit. Last year he was healthy, so the injury concerns aren't.
He barely played last year.
He was not healthy last year.
Did he get hurt last year? Did he get hurt?
No, but he was still recovering from that injury he had at the. I mean, you got to think
he didn't play a full season. If he would have been in the game, who knows? I mean, he played a handful of games. If he would have been playing like as the starter from week 1, who knows if he'd have got hurt or not? I don't think.
Yeah, you got to think like they threw him in there. Like he had that surgery in 2021, right? Like it's not like he had that surgery early. I don't think he was ever 100%.
Yeah, look, bottom line is you spent a top 10 pick, top 5 pick on a quarterback. You drafted Tua Tagovailoa. He's not good enough for what you spent on him. His ceiling is lower than Kirk Cousins at this point. I think you don't spend your first pick in the first round like super early. You don't spend that on somebody who's going to be a mid-tier game manager. Tua's not good enough for the Dolphins. They should look for something else. I'm calling about Deshaun Watson, 100%. I might even call Philly, talk about Gardner Minshew. I think he's a better option right now at this point in time.
Get out.
For the Dolphins.
Stop. That is ridiculous, Dash. And let me just address Dash real quick. The question isn't was it a good pick? Right. That I love the little banner at the bottom. It wasn't if it was a good pick, right? Because you can debate that all you want. You can say, oh, it was a terrible pick. You can say they should have picked Justin Herbert. They should have waited a year. The question is right now, what do you do? You made the decision, draft him. So what do you do right now? And you roll with him. He looked good at the end of last year.
You can't keep
no
buying into
training
your
camp.
mistake.
But at this point, you
They
set him
bought
up
in
for failure.
this year. You spent another first round pick trying to buy into Tua, and it didn't work. No,
They
How,
Jalen
didn't.
Waddle looked like
how
that
do you
guy.
know it
They
didn't
didn't
work?
address-
How do you know it didn't work? We've seen he played 7 games last year and he played 1 game this year.
Let's
What
see
are
how
you
many
talking
games
about?
Tua and Jalen Waddle play together, because like we've been talking about, all this is injuries.
Yep.
Tua's not,
and
not
how
on the
did
field.
you-
He's not the quarterback for your team.
But you did not set him up for success at all. Their first round
No.
picks in the last couple of
I
years,
would
they
agree.
drafted Tua and Austin Jackson, right? And then last year, they have 2 of the best corners in football in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. And then
Don't
they
forget-
drafted
don't
a
forget-
corner in the.
Don't forget that Noah.
Yeah, so then they draft Noah.
who wasn't
not a
active.
need-
Who wasn't active on Sunday?
Yes, not a team need at all. And so that was their third first round pick in that draft. They drafted Jalen Waddle. They had pick 18 this year. They could have drafted another offensive lineman. You know what they did? They drafted a defensive end who came out and said that he doesn't know what a cover 3 defense is. What, he can't get playing time because he can't get onto the field.
Listen,
Their scheme. What do we do? Like,
What-
that is a failure.
We're diverging from the topic here. The topic is Tua Tagovailoa. Is he their quarterback? Should they stick with him? And it's yes, right? Everything that
No.
you're saying, Cody, everything that Cody just said is an exact reason why the organization needs to do something different. Build that offensive line. Do something, because Tua right now, in week 1, he showed. Week 1 with no offensive line, he showed the ability to roll that offense, right? Whether it was at a game-managing pace. Obviously, it's not
or
a
17 points.
And
Yeah,
then
like,
won the
I don't know
game.
why we're
Defense
acting like
that
Tua-
obliterated the Jets.
They hold on, listen. And we're not talking about, he doesn't have to be a superstar. Kirk Cousins isn't a superstar. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't a superstar when he made the Super Bowl. These guys
many
don't.
Super Bowls
Derek
did those guys
Carr.
have?
Derek Carr
Did he win
isn't
the Super
a
Bowl?
superstar.
Yeah, did they
How many
win?
Super
No.
Bowl wins? How
Jimmy
many Super Bowl
Garoppolo
wins among
failed
those
at the end of
quarterbacks?
that
There
just
are
named?
plenty of
So, but
quarterbacks
let me
who
ask
are
you this
excellent that
question.
have won Super Bowls.
But
Who's
yeah,
the last quarterback
Yes,
that wasn't
Peyton
good that won
Manning.
a Super Bowl?
The last
Peyton
one.
Manning in 2015 was absolutely a game manager. The dude couldn't throw the
Yep.
ball
You're right,
further
you're right.
than
Here's
the
what
top
I'll
of the
say.
field.
Peyton Manning,
Flacco
and
and
Tua.
Guys, here's what I'll say to this, and I'll make this very, 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 very brief and to the point. NFL teams. Not that you guys will ever hear me. I have a lot of friends who work for NFL front offices and things of that nature, but this is a special message for you. Stop drafting quarterbacks if you don't have a plan in place to help them succeed. Stop drafting young quarterbacks if you do not have a plan in place to help them succeed. One more time. Stop drafting these young quarterbacks if you don't have a plan in place to help them succeed, if you're not willing to protect them. Prime example. Zach Wilson, New York Football Jets. Remember a couple of years ago, people were saying Sam Darnold was the problem? Oh, I love those takes. I love when people are saying Sam Darnold was this, Sam Darnold was that, Sam Darnold was blah, 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 blah. It's funny, me and my buddy Aidan, we were sitting here talking, and I said, Aidan, he's going to have a really, really good year under Joe Brady. A really, really good. I said, we're going to find out how good Sam Darnold is under Joe Brady. He agreed. Well, lo and behold, through 2 weeks, Sam Darnold looks very good under Joe Brady. Let's talk about the Jets situation. You see what happens? They draft a quarterback. They play him for a few years. He doesn't have time. He throws a couple interceptions, gets rocked, gets concussion, whatever happens. A couple years later, the organization, the fan base is, oh, he sucks. Get him out of here. We need a new guy. So then another player will come, Gluteus Maximus, or whoever the hell you want to say, is going to come out of Wyoming or Auburn University. And we're going to be like, that's the guy. That's the guy for us. Let's draft him in the first round. Totally evading. Totally not even acknowledging the problem at hand. The problem at hand is you didn't protect Sam Darnold.
Didn't protect him, didn't give him weapons.
And now you're not protecting Zach Wilson. Miami Dolphins, you didn't protect Ryan Tannehill. You're not protecting Tua Tagovailoa. You should have probably protected Tua because you knew Tua had injury concerns coming in. The dude let's not even talk about NFL. Tua has not completed as the starting quarterback. Tua has not completed a healthy season when he was at Alabama or in the NFL. He didn't do it in the SEC. He ain't doing it in the NFL. So there's a pattern there. So when they drafted him, they should have known, okay, we love Tua. We love his arm talent. We love what he brings to our football team. Okay, look what the Lions did for Jared Goff. Even before Jared Goff got there, I personally think he is one of the best. I watched that offensive line the last 2 weeks. Holy hell. The guy has all day to throw back there.
They look so good in the first half against the Packers.
So
good.
Yep.
So good. That's what you should have did. Listen, here's the thing. All day to throw, anybody can get open. A quarterback could find anybody originally because you can't stay in coverage, can't be that sticky forever. Don't have all day to throw. Well, you got no interceptions. You're going to fumble the ball. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Miami, I don't think that this Tua situation is going to end well. I think it's going to end with you trading for another player, maybe like Deshaun Watson, or drafting another player in a few years, saying Tua is the issue, but you have to acknowledge your faults. And your faults are you have not protected your young quarterback. You didn't protect Ryan Tannehill. He's I won't say flourishing, but he was flourishing his first year with the Titans. He's doing well right now with the Tennessee Titans. You have to protect these quarterbacks. I'll say it again. You have to protect these quarterbacks. Football is won and lost up front. Game is lost in the trenches. It's why I say a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers will not be good this year. It's the reason why I'm able to confidently say that you have to be able to perform in the trenches. Like Carson Wentz when they all get healthy, he will have a good offensive line with the Colts. And I think we've already started to see flashes of what Carson Wentz could be with this Indianapolis Colts team. I know I just touched on all that, but to be quite honest with you, I wanted to touch on Zach Wilson because I think his situation is unfortunate. Everyone's so down on the kid. And I'm like, no. Don't be down on the kid. Look at the Jets organization. They have yet to protect them. It's another reason why I wasn't a huge fan of the Chicago Bears starting Justin Fields so early. Don't have a good offensive line up front. Jason Peters is their left tackle. Enough said. Want to keep it going, guys. I guess I want to start with since we're touching on week 2, New York Football Giants lost a heartbreaking game Thursday Night Football against the Washington football team. They called a field goal where the defensive tackle was offsides. He really wasn't offsides. He just absolutely timed it perfectly. They said, oh, my bad. What will you guys take away from Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones? I know Giants fans are heated with him and things of that nature, but he always seems to play great against the Washington football team. What do you guys think about him and his situation over in New York? You got Kenny Golladay yelling at Jason Garrett, or so he says. The New York Football Giants, I don't know. You saw what they were last season. You looked at Joe Judge last season. You saw the discipline his team had last season, and it's like, holy hell. Like, where did that go? What are you guys' thoughts on the New York Football Giants? Aidan, I'm going to start with you.
This team, man, last season their defense played well, better than I expected because the personnel wasn't really there, but they still performed like a solid defense. They executed. Really, they executed. They had the defensive line, but offensively, it's going to come down to the quarterback and the offensive line. That's what's going to hold this team back. I know Daniel Jones was good on Thursday night, but I don't expect that to see that on a consistent basis. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest reasons, even with all the receivers, is because that offensive line is bad. It's one of the worst in football. The issue with Daniel Jones has always been the turnovers, and his pocket awareness is bad. It's not good. So you pair him up with this terrible offensive line, good things will not happen. And they don't have a run game they can rely on either. There's no room for Saquon to run back there. There isn't. We saw it last season in the 2 games he played before he went down with injury. Their offensive line is going to hold this team back.
Saquon ain't Saquon as of right now. He had one big run where I was like, he fast. I said, he looks really, really good. And then I think every play after that, he rushed for I think he was averaging 2 yards or a yard or a carry. Alex, what are your thoughts on this New York Football Giants team? What the hell is going on? It's literally night and day from the team that they were last year versus what they are right now. Honestly, guys, I don't know who's going to win the NFC East. I mean, I guess the Cowboys should. I don't know, but keeping it with the Giants. Alex, what are your thoughts?
a lot of people are going to say this is a hot take, but I'm a believer that you need an elite quarterback to win in this league, and until you get one, keep trying. I don't think Daniel Jones is really the answer for the Giants. I think that I'm not a guy who looks for average. Like, yeah, Daniel Jones I think can be average, although sometimes he does not look average. Like, there's sometimes he looks worse. And so if I'm the Giants, I'm actively trying to find someone else to lead my team. But like we talked before, you got to fix the offensive line before anyone's going to be able to lead that team, because it is awful. One of the worst in the entire league. Like you said, Saquon's not playing up to par. He's dealing with, I think, injuries from last year. And even if he wasn't, it'd be really hard to run behind the offensive line that the Giants got. It's a tough, call on how they should do it. I don't think they have the roster to actually win meaningful games this year.
They might beat the Falcons, but I do want to say one thing. There is one team that has impressed. We want to keep it going, guys, because we got a lot of stuff we want to talk about. The one team that has, I got to tread lightly when I say this. One team that has impressed me in terms of what the expectations were for them coming into the season, how everybody wrote them off. Everyone said they wouldn't do anything, and certainly they haven't necessarily done anything, have been the Houston Texans. I want to address somebody, though. I want to address somebody on the show right now because they had a few choice words on Twitter. And, I'm not one to debate on Twitter that often. I'm not one to go back and forth. But Cody, the butchering starts now, my man. Listen, I think you completely misread where I was going with the Houston Texans situation. I'm simply saying, David Culley came into a terrible situation. You got Deshaun Watson with his sexual assault allegations, right? You don't know what's going on with there. Not to mention, on top of that, he's asking for a trade for the football team, saying he doesn't want to play there. All the while you got to scramble, you got to find yourself a quarterback, you got to do this, and everyone's saying the Texans won't win anything. There are no moral victories in the NFL. We know this. But my whole reasoning, my whole thing that I was simply getting at, which is why I don't know why you brought a moral victory in, was simply saying Dave Culley, in the midst of chaos, with everything he had to deal with, he's done a phenomenal job for the Houston Texans. Their season is not put under a magnifying glass in terms of wins and losses. Wins and losses don't matter for this Houston Texans football team. I'm pretty sure none of the Houston Texans fans were like, you know what, this year we're going to go in there, we're going to shock people, we're going to win, we're going to be a playoff team, or we're going to win 7 games. I'm pretty sure that is not the tone for the Houston Texans fan base right now. But can we just stop, right? Like, I know this is like we talk about the NFL, we talk about the NBA, where everything is put under a magnifying glass and everyone talks about wins and losses and playoffs and championships so much. Can we just talk about Dave Culley, the job he has done for a second? It's the same thing that I was saying about Joe Judge last year when the Giants were losing, that culture, the foundation he was setting. The foundation, the culture that a guy like Dave Culley is setting right now, right? They went toe-to-toe with the Cleveland Browns for the better part of that entire game with a terrible roster. Cleveland literally did not take over that game until the fourth quarter. But they found a way to stick out. They found a way to be in there. Tyrod Taylor is also Tyrod Taylor. I feel like he's a very underrated quarterback in the National Football League. But I do think that we should acknowledge the job that Dave Culley's done. Cody, to that, you say what?
If you want to acknowledge the job that David Culley has done, stand alone, I will agree that he has done a decent job with what he has. Yeah. That being said, if we're going to pin on, if we look back at the Texans season and that is the highlight of the season, then you did nothing. You did absolutely nothing, because I do not think David Culley will be the head coach of the Houston Texans next year. 80% of that roster will not be on the team next year. They do not have their starting quarterback next year on their roster currently. There is nothing about this team that is going to carry over, and it's unfortunate. That's what happens when you have an incompetent franchise, which is what the Houston Texans management has been the last couple of years.
What makes you think Dave Culley won't be the head coach there next year?
He won't win enough games. He won't win enough games, and that is not a direct result of David Culley.
So again, okay, I'm happy that we're having this conversation. So you think that this Houston Texans management, in the midst of the Deshaun Watson situation and everything going on, you think that they're judging him by wins and losses this season?
No, I think he is literally a stopgap. They hired him as a stopgap, which is very unfortunate for David Culley because I believe he is an incredible dude.
But you just said he wouldn't win enough games, so therefore you're saying that they're magnifying it by wins and losses.
The way I would explain this is he could win 5, 6, 7, whatever. They are going to do a complete and total overhaul next year, regardless. So they're going to bring they will bring in a new coach. They will bring in a new front office management. They're going to redo the whole thing. This year is a wash.
Let me tell you why you're wrong on this one. No head coach is going to sign up for the Houston Texans until they see progress. Let me say that again. No head coach is going to sign up to be the Houston Texans head coach until they see progress. Dave Culley will be the head coach of the Houston Texans next year, guys. He was guaranteed the first 2 years to be the Houston Texans head coach. He will be the head coach for the next 2 years. In that time span, they want to see progress. They want to see progression from what they are. First of all, they got to get out of this Deshaun Watson situation, whatever that looks like. They have to show some type of progression. Next year is when you want to see them stack on wins. Next year's draft is when you want to see them draft good players. Because then you'll be able to attract free agents. Then you'll be able to attract good coaches. Because let's face it, the Houston Texans do not have their future franchise quarterback on their roster right now because Deshaun Watson is leaving. Right? He won't be there next year. He probably won't even be there at the end of this year. He's probably going to be traded at the deadline. We'll see. The fact of the matter is the Houston Texans need to what's the word I'm looking for? They need to rebuild themselves in the eyes of the football world. They have to literally rebuild their organization. They have to make it a desirable destination, not only for football players, but for head coaches. Because right now they have a negative, stain on their organization. And that's what they're right now they need to work. They're doing damage control.
How possible is it? In all seriousness, as long as their owner remains the owner of the Houston Texans, which is why Deshaun Watson wanted to be traded. The ownership was terrible. As long as he remains the owner, is there any salvaging that for them to be a reparable franchise? Because there are tons of franchises in the NFL that have had poor ownership for decades, and the results end up on the field. The Lions are one of those. They have had poor ownership for decades, and they have not won. They have won one playoff game in the history of their existence. Listen, what is to say that the Texans are literally any different?
Ownership at the end of the day is ownership, Cody. Though ownership at the end of the day is ownership. Listen, Mike Brown, for instance, had a negative tone around his name, right? But now you have players that want to come in because players want to play with Joe Burrow. I don't give a damn about ownership, to be completely honest with you. Like Deshaun Watson had his faults with ownership because they would not give him the pieces that he personally needed to succeed. That's what he felt. That was his issue with the ownership. So the Deshaun Watson situation is an absolute complete wash for the Houston Texans at this standpoint. At the end of the day, you want to see positivity. At the end of the day, the players have to play, the coaches have to coach on the football field. Which brings me back to my original point. Dave Culley, in the midst of everything, in the midst of that shitty organization that you proudly say they are, and we all agree with you here on, the fact that he's able to navigate through the bullshit, the fact that he's able to navigate and find moments, if you will, right? The fact that you don't have a team willing to just quit on you out there. And we've seen a team quit. We saw it with Bill O'Brien towards the end of his tenure in Houston. It says a lot. It says a lot about what he's doing. I think Dave Culley will be the coach to set the foundation. He won't be the coach to take them to the next step. But for the next 2 years, Dave Culley will be the guy to set the foundation for the Houston Texans and make it a desirable or competent enough organization that people want to play for. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add on before we get to the week three predictions?
Quickly, I think Nick Caserio deserves some credit here too. He's the GM that they just hired this offseason. He's brought in a lot
of those Patriots roots.
Yeah, he's brought in a lot of depth pieces that are going to compete, and the guys that are going to build that culture. So has he brought in stars yet? No, but nobody expected that. I think he's done a good job bringing in competition at positions such as running back and trying to build up that culture that way.
Bold prediction: stars won't go. There are just places in the NFL that stars don't go.
Listen, bold prediction, and I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you wholeheartedly, Cody. Sometimes you can't. If you get drafted someplace, you can't control where you.
Well, yeah, when you draft.
Yes. Listen, I just think you have a negative. I think you just have a negative outlook on the Houston Texans thing. I I
Yes, I do.
can't falter for that, but I do think you're wrong. I do think that there can be some damage control. I do think that there could be some fixing. That being said, I think the Houston Texans quarterback next year is going to be, drum roll, Jimmy Garoppolo. That is my belief. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Caserio helped draft him in New England. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is well on his way out of San Francisco because at some point you got to start Trey Lance. Trey Lance is not going to sit for 2 years unless his name is Jordan Love. Last I checked, his name is Trey Lance. It's not Jordan Love. So with that being said, I fully expect the Houston Texans quarterback next year to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Is he better than Tyrod Taylor? We'll see. I don't know. Maybe. What do you got?
Not for
What do
the
you
amount
think
of
about
money you'd
that?
have to pay him.
Huh?
Not for the amount of money you'd be paying him. I'd rather take Tyrod Taylor than a Jimmy G deal.
Oh, I don't know. I think Jimmy Garoppolo gets a lot of hate, personally. That's just my opinion. I think Jimmy Garoppolo gets a lot of hate. But last thing I want to touch on, guys, before we get into our week 3 predictions. Let's talk about the job Mac Jones has done for the New England Patriots really quickly. Has he impressed you guys? He's impressed me. I saw his news press conference today. Alex looks like he hates him. I don't know why he just looks like that in his face right now. But I just saw. Did you see that those shirts that came out with Cody? They came out with Mac Jones t-shirts. It says Massachusetts. Massachusetts. The Patriots are gonna the New England area, the Boston area is so corny. They have
I respect a good pun.
they're so corny though. But we got well, we have one diehard Patriots fan, we know for sure. Other one is fickle a little bit. Aidan, let's get your thoughts. I really value your opinion. What is your opinion on the job Mac Jones has done for the New England Patriots?
Impressive. It has been. It's been impressive. The offensive line honestly hasn't been as good as I thought it would be. Mainly because Trent Brown's hurt and Justin Herron and Yasir Durant have not been getting the job done at right tackle. The receiving core, it's fine, but it's not elite. Overall, it's a good situation. Don't get me wrong. I think this was honestly the perfect situation for Mac Jones. But nonetheless, he's still been very impressive. Minimize the mistakes. He makes the right throws. And I know the mobility isn't quite there yet. He's not an elite quarterback by any means, but he makes the throws. The pocket awareness is incredible, by the way. I love that. He slides around in the pocket. His footwork there is pristine. He extends plays in that sense. Not necessarily getting out of the pocket, but he's, again, accurate. The pocket awareness is great. He's extremely intelligent, hardworking. Listen, I wasn't the biggest Mac.
What a guy! He sounds like he loves him. Has Aidan changed his stance? Aidan was so critical of Mac Jones. I hate the Mac Jones pick. I can't stand the Mac Jones pick. Aidan, are you rounding the corner on us? Are you turning soft on us?
Well, I didn't say I hated it, but I wasn't the biggest fan. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't. Now, here's the thing. Mac Jones, I do think he's ended up in the perfect situation. And I am somebody that believes situation is one of the most important things for quarterbacks. So, if Trevor Lawrence was on the Patriots, Mac Jones is on the Jaguars, this is probably a whole different story. But I'm still going to give Mac Jones credit because he's worked extremely hard. He's played well. I am turning the corner a little bit on Mac Jones. I can't lie, but I don't think he'll ever be, that elite top tier quarterback. But yes, I am turning the corner a little bit on our quarterback.
All righty, guys, we're going to switch over. And if we all could throw a tweet out right now, we're going to be predicting week 3 of the NFL season. So we're going to throw it out to you guys right now. We're going to jump right into it. The Carolina Panthers take on the Houston Texans. In NRG Stadium, Thursday Night Football. We're going to get some predictions on this. Alex, let's start with you, my man. Who we going with? We got Davis Mills, starting quarterback for the Houston Texans. Who might I add? He looked really good in preseason. I just want to say that. He looked really, really good in preseason. Going against the Carolina Panthers and that defense and Joe Brady and Sam Darnold and all the things that Carolina has going over. What are your thoughts?
Y'all know how high I am on Sam Darnold. He was the entire reason I picked the Jets to win the division, the infamous picking the Jets to win the division. It was because of Sam Darnold, and obviously the Jets didn't put the pieces around him to succeed, but the Panthers have, and he is out there balling, and it's music to my ears. I love seeing it because I have been defending this man through everything, as everyone's been calling him a bust. Everyone's been saying he sucks. I have been writing for Sam Darnold, saying, no, no, no. I promise you he's a good quarterback. We just have to see him with a competent organization. Doesn't even have to be the best scenario ever, just competent. And now he is with a competent organization, the Carolina Panthers, and he's slinging that thing all over the rock, looking all over the park, looking really good. And I think they're going to absolutely destroy the Texans. Look, we just had a whole conversation about how the Texans are better than we thought they were or whatever. They're looking all right. I don't care. I still think they're an awful team, awful organization, and they're going to get slapped up by the Panthers on Thursday.
Cody, what are your thoughts on this?
Panthers -8, but not close. I don't think the Texans score 7 points. That Panthers defense has looked incredible through 2 weeks. They have looked great through 2 weeks. Brian Burns might be my most improved player so far this season. The dude has looked great. Honestly, very, very incredible. So the Panthers should run away with this game. Davis Mills, you are not that guy, pal.
You don't think they'll score 7, Cody?
No.
Against the Browns, they put up how much did they put up?
They put up 14 when Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback.
And well, hold on, he played 3 quarters.
Yeah.
So
yes.
So Davis Mills scored 7 points in a quarter. That's 28 points in a game. Listen, they're going to score more than 7 points. You're discrediting this Texans team, but you're right.
Hey, you want to make a bet?
I'll make a bet. I'll make a bet that they score more than 7 points. I'll put 20 down on that.
I'll make a bet that they score 7 or fewer.
Yeah.
And I will shotgun a bottle of barbecue sauce if that is wrong.
You are
7 or fewer.
Amazing.
I will shotgun a bottle of barbecue sauce if that is incorrect.
Wow.
What do I do if you're right? Then?
You just give me $10. You just give me $10. But I will shotgun a bottle of barbecue sauce and send you $10. That's how confident I am.
Right here. Let's make it a deal.
Virtual
Cody, that's easy money. Easy money. But I have the Panthers winning. Brian Burns, one of the most underrated guys. I don't care if it was the Jets. I don't care if it was the Saints. Both teams he absolutely dominated. His bend off the edge is ridiculous. Brian Burns, one of my favorite players in the league. Panthers win this by 10 points.
Aidan?
I'm going with the Panthers here pretty easily. The Texans have been better than I thought they would be, but this week without Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills is fine, but I don't think he's ready to be a starting quarterback yet, especially in that system. And I was big on the Panthers this year. They were one of my sleeper teams. I've been on Sam Darnold. This defense has taken that step. I'm going with Carolina.
And Dash, bring us home for this game.
Panthers win. Yeah, pretty much everything's been said. I think it's not going to be particularly close.
Sounded electric saying that, Dash. Panthers win.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I think this might be one of the most boring Thursday night games of the season, to be honest.
Watch, you just jinxed it now. It's going to be exciting. We've got the I got the Panthers winning this game as well. Guys, we got the Colts traveling to Tennessee, and they're taking on the Tennessee Football Titans. We don't know right now if what's his name? Carson Wentz is playing or not. So picks are subject to change. Dash, we ended with you, but we're going to start with you.
I'm taking the Titans, but it's hard because I don't know what Titans team I'm going to get. Week 1 Titans are not going to beat the Colts. Week 2 Titans will, but I'm really not sure what this team has to offer yet. And because of that, I'm hesitant to say the Titans, but if there's no Carson Wentz, even without in the air, if he's not going to get fully to practice in, I think I like the Titans at home.
Okay. Cody?
I think backs against the wall. I think the Colts get it done. I think it is almost a must-win game. And all games in the NFL are must-win, right? But you're playing a division rival on the road after 2 back-to-back losses. Whether the Carson Wentz is the quarterback in Indy or not, either way, he hasn't been incredibly impressive. But the Colts, there's just something about the Colts playing Tennessee. They've had their number even back since the Andrew Luck days. So give me the Colts. I think it'll be a very close and good game.
Aidan.
Yeah, I'm leaning Indy here too, and it's tough to say after the week Tennessee just had beating Seattle, and the Colts are off to an 0-2 start.
Is this without Carson Wentz or with Carson Wentz? I'm just curious.
Okay, all right.
You got Jacob Eason?
with Eason, I'm still tempted to take the Colts. And
Bruh.
it pains me to say it's
Bruh.
ballsy. It is, but
It was beyond ballsy.
it is. And I'm uneasy to do it, but I'm actually gonna lean the Colts right now.
My man. Aidan, this is why we're tight.
I know amen.
Okay. Daniel.
I gotta go Colts here, man. Like Cody said, 0-2, back against the wall. And listen, the Titans are coming off a very hard-fought game against Seahawks. Energy's running high. The Colts played the Rams. Let's not forget the fight that they put up against the Rams. They lost by 3 points. They were up in the first half. Their offense looked great. And if you're telling me that the Colts get to face going from Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and that Rams defense going up against now the Titans defense, I'm going to take the Colts back against the wall. 0-2 or down. You're 0-2. It's a divisional game. I think the Titans are riding on a high streak right now. I think they come back down to earth after the last game. I like the Colts here.
And Alex, bring us home.
Yeah, if Carson Wentz plays, I'm taking the Colts. If he doesn't, I'm taking the Titans.
I got the Tennessee Titans. I think that football team is starting to figure out their offense a little bit. I think Julio had a very good game, against the Seattle Seahawks. He looks like he's grounding back up to form. And the Colts still have issues with their cornerback core right now. And I don't think even if healthy, Xavier Rhodes cannot cover Julio Jones. So, yeah, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans that game. But keeping it going, guys, we've got the Falcons at New York Football Giants. I'm actually going to start this one off. I'm taking the New York Football Giants in this game for one reason. For one reason only. Not because they're a great team. Not because the Falcons are a bad team, even though both are not very good teams. Sunday is Eli Manning Day. It's Eli Manning retirement day. I think they retire his jersey and all that kind of stuff like that. Emotions are going to be high, and they'll want to win. I know it sounds crazy, but for all those reasons, the Giants are 0-2 right now. I think the Giants football team isn't going to win a lot of football games, but I think they'll win this one. I do think that they'll win this one, especially with Eli Manning in the house. Maybe he can give some of that old Giants 2007 rub some of that magic off on Daniel Jones. Maybe he won't throw any interceptions or fumble the ball this week. We'll see. Alex, what are your thoughts on this one? Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going with the Giants too, not because of any Eli Manning days.
All right, man. I thought you were my guy here, man.
But just because I think they're a better team than the Falcons. I think the Falcons are just overall not good.
Let's go, Marissa. There we go.
Falcons, maybe worst team in the NFL. Bad. They're awful.
They played the Bucs hard.
Yeah, it's a divisional game. I said on the show they'd play the Bucs hard and that I would take them as the underdog. But
crazy.
But I still think they're an awful team, absolutely garbage. So give me the Giants. They just have a better roster.
Daniel?
I had to go Falcons. I'm not going to say I liked what I saw out of them against the Buccaneers, but if we're talking about them going from the Buccaneers to now the Giants, I like it. Kyle Pitts had a good game. Calvin Ridley looks good. Matt Ryan is okay. You're going against a team that they faced Washington last week. Taylor Heineke looked good. If it wasn't for that last, the fourth quarter interception that he threw, he had a great game. So I'm going to take this Falcons team. I know both teams are 0-2 right now. I think Arthur Smith gets his first win as the Falcons head coach. I like the Falcons here. As underdogs too, I like the Falcons.
Hopefully Matt Ryan could throw over 45 yards because he had a deep shot for Calvin Ridley down the sideline wide open, and that ball did not go that. I will just say that ball went down, and he stepped up into a clean pocket. Guy doesn't have the arm strength anymore. Julio was not wrong about him. Julio said Matt Ryan lost some zip, and boy, if I was Calvin Ridley, I'd be fuming. Cody, what are your thoughts on this game?
I'm going to go ahead and take the Giants -3. They're coming on 10 days rest off of Thursday night football against a close divisional game with the Washington football team. The Falcons have not covered in a single game this year. I think that stands true again this week. I like the Giants. We talked about the Giants the last 2 weeks, they play two defenses that can put pressure on the quarterback and make Daniel Jones make mistakes. You know what the Falcons can't do? They can't put pressure on anybody. Their pass rush might be the worst in the league. Give me the Giants in this one.
Absolutely. Man with logic, I like that. Dash, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm taking the Giants in the simple. It's not going to be an exciting game to watch. We might get to see a little bit of Kyle Pitts. That might be nice. Giants win. It's not exciting.
Must be nice. I guess Aidan was kind of running from the smoke. He didn't want to give his pick, so he left us here. But we're going to go to the next game. We've got the Los Angeles Chargers, the Chargers, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Kansas City just lost a heartbreaker to the Baltimore Ravens, but they're back at home going against the Chargers. Cody, start us off with this one. Who we got?
First off, the total for this game is 55. Should be an electric game. Tons of points scored. I think the Chargers keep this close, and I think the Chargers win. They played a close, great game with the Cowboys last week. I think that the Chiefs' defense has shown that they can be had, and I like the Chargers to sneak one in here. You got to remember, boys, they were my preseason bet to win that division, so I gotta back my squad. Give me the Chargers.
Daniel?
I want to pick the Chargers with you, Cody. I really do. I liked what I saw to Justin Herbert last week. I'm taking the Chiefs, though. The Chiefs are going to bounce back after the loss last week. I'm just going with the Chiefs here. Justin, it's going to be electric. As you said, 55. I might take the over on that still because it's going to be divisional matchup. Both quarterbacks going to be throwing the ball a lot. No run game from basically either side. I'm taking the Chiefs to win this one.
Alex?
I'm taking the Chiefs as well. I think they're just a better team. And that's no slight to the Chargers. I have been extremely high on the Chargers. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're really good at a lot of spots. But the Chiefs are something serious. Just because the Chiefs lost a close one to the Ravens team that played awesome doesn't mean that I think that they're any less than I thought they were before the Ravens game. Give me the Chiefs to handle the Chargers.
Dash?
Yep. Arrowhead will be booming. Chiefs are going to win. I think it will be close. It'll be definitely a good game to watch. But yeah, I think the Chiefs will squeak out.
And Aidan?
I see the Chiefs bouncing back. They're at home. Chargers have played them, close historically, but I'm going Chiefs.
Who would have thought that?
Sorry. Go ahead first.
Who would have thought that regardless of what happens in this game, one of these two teams will be last place in the division?
Yeah, this is true.
Crazy.
This is true. But one thing I will say, right? One thing I will say about this game, I think that the Chiefs are going to play pissed off. Everyone's going to say, yeah, points and all this kind of stuff. I actually expect the Chiefs defense to have a bounce back game. I think the Chiefs defense is going to have a bounce back game. And I think for all the crap that I said about Steve Spagnuolo, I think Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, Snead, all those guys are going to, round in the form. Not going to have a shutout game or nothing like that, but I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as people think because I think the Chiefs game this Chiefs defense is going to have a chip on their shoulders, and they know that there's a magnifying glass on them. Everybody knows they lost that game to the Ravens because of that defense, and I expect that defense to show up. I expect Steve Spagnuolo's defense to really have a good game this week. Moving on up the card, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Heinz Field to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cody, Aidan, let's start with you. Who you got?
Okay, I'm going with the Bengals. The Steelers, I'm just not big on the Steelers. They fight hard. Don't get me wrong. I think they're better coached than the Cincinnati Bengals. No offense to all our Bengals guys here, but I think you guys have more talent. The Steelers' offense is just bad. I like the Bengals' offense as long as they don't turn the ball over or anything like that or make any special teams mistakes to this Pittsburgh Steelers team. I think you guys should win this week.
Dash.
I think this Bengals defensive line could have the field day against the Steelers. I think that's something to definitely keep an eye on. But I think it'll still be a close game, divisional game. These guys, when these two teams play, it's always a tough, hard-fought matchup. And while I do agree, I think the Steelers have the coaching edge. I think the Bengals will win just purely because of talent right now.
And Alex?
We've been talking a lot about the trenches on this week, and I think the Bengals have the better trenches overall. Obviously both teams have offensive line struggles, but I think that the Steelers' offensive line seems considerably worse than the Bengals to me. And so for that reason, I'm going to give it to the Bengals. This Bengals defense, let's not get it twisted, coming into the year, everyone said, this Bengals offense is going to be good, revamped offensive line, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. So far, that part hasn't really happened, but the Bengals defense has surprised a ton of people.
Alex, just out of curiosity, who said that this Bengals defense was going to be really, really good all off season?
Malik has been banging the Bengals defense drum all off season. I have to give it to him as much as I hate to give him the credit for it. Malik, you have been banging the drum of Bengals offense balling out. Bengals defense balling out, and they have, and that is the reason I'm picking the Bengals over the Steelers in a close one. Very, very close game.
Daniel?
Oh man. I'm gonna go Steelers here, right? TJ Watt, I think TJ Watt's still gonna play. You said he's questionable right now. That defensive line of the Steelers, is still legit. I know we're gonna look. You can say Derek Carr put up 24 points, but they still held the Bills to 13 points, I believe. 13 points. I don't know. I like the Steelers to win this game. The line has moved down in favor of the Bengals, though. I think the Steelers come back and win this game, and yeah, I'm taking Steelers here.
Cody.
This game's tough because there's a lot of people on the injury report, right? Big Ben did not practice. Deontay Johnson did not practice. Highsmith did not practice. Watt was limited. Devin Bush is on the injury report. Conversely, for the Bengals side, you got T. Higgins did not practice. Suafilo did not practice. Trey Waynes did not practice. Ogunjobi is limited, which might be the biggest name on that list. And Darius Phillips didn't practice as well. I'm concerned. I think that this game will come down to who's healthier. I think the Steelers.
If you want my pick, you have to subscribe to the TWSN Patreon. That being said, the Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with a lot of injuries on their defense this week. A lot of injuries on their defense. And couple that with Big Ben having a pectoral injury, and various other things. You guys saw Deontay Johnson got hurt on a meaningless last play of the game last week. Injured his knee. For what? It was like you're down 10 points. The game is pretty much over, and you're just throwing it up or doing some stupid stuff. Anyways, we'll see. Keeping it going, guys. The Chicago Bears, Justin Fields gets his first start taking on the Cleveland Browns. We should see Odell Beckham on the field this Sunday for the first time. We're going to start with Danny. What are your thoughts?
I'm going to go with the Browns, but it's pretty easy in this game. I think the Browns win this one, but they haven't looked good all year. To be honest, they haven't. The game against the Texans, that was a close game. So the Browns this week, I'm really, really, really looking forward to them showing what they can do, right? The defense, it's taken a little time. They have all the talent in the world. That secondary is legit. They added John Johnson, Troy Hill, all those guys, Greedy Williams still there. Even Grant Delpit got his first reps. But I need to see more out of this team. So I expect them to beat this Bears team in Justin Fields' first start by 10+ points.
Alex, let's go to you.
Yeah, I completely agree. Justin Fields is not the guy, in my opinion. Not the guy for this game, at least. Like I said earlier, Justin Fields may blossom, but in the Bengals game, he showed me absolutely nothing. He showed me that he was worse than Andy Dalton. And I've been saying every single week in and week out, that this Browns team is maybe the most talented across the board team in the NFL. So give me the Browns for the blast.
Okay. And we're going to go to Dash here.
Yeah, sorry, Justin Fields. Sorry, Bears fans. First NFL start, first NFL loss. Browns are a better team.
Okay. Aidan?
Yeah, I'm going with the Browns as well. They're just the more complete football team. Justin Fields didn't look great last week. I think he needs more time. This is going to be a tough opponent in his first career start. Give me Cleveland.
Okay. And Cody, bring us home on this game.
My play will be on the Patreon, man. I'm all over this game. Money.
I like the sound of that, my man. We've got for me, I'm going with Cleveland Browns this game. I just think the Cleveland Browns are going to harass Justin Fields in the pocket, and he's going to struggle. Throw up a couple of toes. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Detroit Lions. I'm going to say it right now. My pick is going to be on the Patreon. My pick is going to be on Patreon for this game. but it's gonna be interesting. Cody, thoughts?
The Ravens are a far superior team. They let Andrew Jones score 4 touchdowns on that defense. What do you think Lamar Jackson and Tyson Williams going to do? No chance.
Daniel.
The Ravens, but I don't know, man. This Lions team has looked good, so I don't know what the spread is exactly. I believe 8 to 9 points, something like that.
9 currently.
I think they played an OT game in week 1. Then they had a massive, the crowd showed up at the Ravens Stadium. They won that game against the Chiefs. Could be here for a little bit of a letdown. I think they still win the game, but 8 or 9, whatever it is, that's a lot of points. If I'm a betting man, and I would take that spread.
And Alex.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens as well. They're just such a better team. Sometimes you don't overthink things, and this is one of those times. The Ravens are just better in like every facet of the game. So give me the Ravens.
Dash.
I actually think, the Ravens are going to win. Let me say that first. But I think this Lions team, along with the Texans, those are 2 teams that are going to play spoiler. I think to a lot of bets this season.
And Aidan.
I'm going to go with the Ravens, but don't count the Lions out in this game. They fight hard. The Ravens are coming off a short week, plus they just had that massive comeback. They've had an injury bug 2 weeks ago, so I think they're a bit tired out. The Lions are obviously a well-fought team, so that's a tough one to go up against on low energy, but I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Guys, this has been a long show, so we're not going to go through all of our picks. I'm going to do 2 more games. I'm not sure what that was there, but we've got.
Oh, wait.
We got 2 more games we want to go over, guys. We've got the Buccaneers taking on the the Rams. Aidan, we're gonna start with you.
What was the game again?
The Buccaneers.
What was that?
All right.
The Buccaneers. I have no idea.
It's not on my computer, that's for sure.
Me neither. I checked those tabs quick.
I did too.
Okay.
It was the Buccaneers taking on the Rams.
All right. This is a tough game. Sorry. This is a tough game for me. I think these are 2 of the best teams in football going at it this week. I'm huge on the Rams. I think Matt Stafford again is going to win MVP this year. I could see them handing the Bucs one of their few losses this season. So I'm undecided on this game as we speak. So I'll turn it over to somebody else.
I'll take it from here. I think the Bucs have it. I think it's game of the week. This is like a potential NFC Championship preview, but I like the Bucs. I'm gonna tell myself that this whole time, but I really don't know. This is gonna be a great game, absolute toss-up. But Tampa Bay, I guess. Alex, what do you think?
I like the Rams in this game, honestly. I'm not as high on the Bucs as just about everyone else is. They narrowly beat the Cowboys, and then, like Malik said, the Falcons played them hard. And to me, the Rams are a really good team everywhere. The Rams have great playmakers on defense. They have a great offense. So I'm taking the Rams in this game.
Daniel?
I love the Buccaneers this year. I think the Buccaneers are obviously the title favorites. The Rams look good. Matt Stafford looks great with that offense, that new look offense. I think this is one of the games where the Buccaneers, I think I heard it again. The Buccaneers take a loss and the Rams come out and win this game and show everyone why they could potentially win the Super Bowl this year. But okay, somebody's got to check their tabs.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody got
ridiculous. But look, people have made an entire career on the gambling on the back of Tom Brady. Give me Tom Brady. Give me the Bucs. I'm not sure what game Malik wanted to move to next, since he is decided to duke out on us. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's do a little Sunday night football. Packers 49ers should be a great game. The game is in San Francisco. They are currently 3-point favorites against the Packers. What do we got for Packers San Francisco?
This one, Malik, you muted.
I got the Packers this game. I think that this is going to be the game that people in San Fran get pissed, and they're like, "We need to start Trey Lance," because I don't think they'll be able to match the firepower.
This is the game the Packers show who they are. This is the game that they say, "Look, we're still the Packers. We had a week 1 fluke, but we have the MVP on our team. We have the best receiver in the league. We have a good team. This is going to be a bounce back week. Even from week 1, I think they still need to prove something even after the Lions game."
Took the words right out of my mouth, right? And the fact that as soon as I saw this line, it was I believe +4. The Packers were underdogs by 4 points. I'm hammering that. Listen, the 49ers, I love their offensive line, but JaMychal Hasty's out with injury. Raheem Mostert's out with injury. Jeff Wilson's out with injury. Trey Sermon's still hurt. Elijah Mitchell's still hurt, right? These guys, the running game, that's why I think that this team is built around the offenses, and they're going to be hurt. So I think that this is the Packers' game to win. And even though the 49ers have dominated the Packers, this game, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to want this game. And I think that this is the game where 49ers aren't going to be able to cover them. And the 49ers, as much as I hyped them up before, they look bad against the Eagles. If the Eagles had a better head coach, because Nick Sirianni really messed that game up with Jalen Hurts, they should have lost that game. So right now, I'm way more confident in the Packers going in and winning that game.
Aidan, let's go with you.
I'm going with the Packers. I think they're just going to show up this week. That's really the big thing. Will Aaron Rodgers show up and be into it? If he will, the Packers are going to beat most teams. The 49ers, I still think they're a good football team. They're playoff caliber. But in these first 2 weeks against the Lions and Eagles, they haven't been overly impressive to me. Nearly blew it to both those teams. So I'm going to go with the Packers.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going.
Okay, Alex, go ahead.
I'm going Packers as well. I've said this both prior weeks on this show when we were talking about the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the National Football League, and so I'm always going to pick Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in every game they play. Give me the Packers.
Okay, and we got Dash. Bring us home on this one. Well, Cody didn't go.
I already touched on it, yeah. Let Cody go. I already touched on it.
Yeah, I would love to know what Rodgers' record against the spread is as an underdog, because I tell you what, I'm going to be all over this one. Give me the Pack.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For those of you who don't know, or if you're in a fantasy football league, Cody, we're going to turn it over to you to bring us home at the end of the show. Is there any guys that you are high on fantasy football sleepers, or guys people should be in on? Any suggestions?
Okay, so there are a couple of guys that I think you should either buy high or sell low, right? I'm gonna take buying low on Jonathan Taylor. Has yet to score a touchdown. That Colts offense has not had a rushing touchdown this season. That is not sustainable for a team that wants to run the football, and for a team that if their quarterback is going to miss time, they are going to lean on that running game. The Titans have shown that you can run the ball against them. Chris Carson had 2 touchdowns against them a week ago. Give me Jonathan Taylor. I think some fans might be a little concerned. I'll readily scoop him up. Another guy that I'm going to scoop up is AJ Brown. I think he's like wide receiver, like 47 in fantasy at this point. That is not sustainable. The dude is entirely too talented. They played 2 pretty solid defenses their first 2 weeks. So give me AJ Brown on the Titans. Guys who I'm looking to sell, I'm getting out of the Rob Gronkowski business. 2 touchdowns each of the last 2 weeks is not sustainable, right? I love the guy as a talent. The dude is incredibly talented. But if you drafted Rob Gronkowski, you probably did not draft him as your only tight end on your roster. If you can trade him and ship him off for some top end talent, I would absolutely do that. I think he takes a fall from grace. Speaking of falls from grace, Hollywood Brown is quite frankly solely based off of the volume of the Ravens passing offense. he has been ridiculously efficient. It is so hard to maintain that efficiency throughout a season. I think right now is the absolute best time to sell on Hollywood. Let him disappoint some other fantasy manager as you get towards the playoffs and get a much more reliable asset.
There's one guy that I was hoping you mentioned, but I want to mention it. Jaquez Patrick, who the San Francisco 49ers just picked up from the Bengals practice squad. This guy should be on an NFL roster. He quite possibly could be a running back too for NFL team. He's very, very good. I would, knowing that the 49ers predicate everything on being able to run the ball and seeing the success that some of the running backs of the Lions had, I would definitely be in all of him because I'm pretty sure he's going to be taking over a lot of the role of starting running back for the Niners with all their injuries at running back.
So part of fantasy football, right, is being ahead of the curve. I don't think Jaquez Patrick gets a ton of run this week. New to the roster, right? Got to learn the scheme. But I think he's a guy that not this coming week, but next week he could see his role increase the week after. I would go up, snag him now, throw him on your bench for a while.
Snagged him.
With that, see that? This is why you get it. This is why you get it. He's an absolute guy to stash on the end of your bench for a week or two and see if we can't ride the hot hand there in San Francisco.
Cody, it's funny. We're in a fantasy football league and stuff like that. And this guy the guy played me this week. He's like, he texted me early in the week because I don't really talk trash when it comes to fantasy football. He's like, hey man, we play. I'm like, okay, we play. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's gonna be nice having a bye week this early. Cody asked me what I did to the guy.
What you do?
Got him up out of here, man. Pick Zach Moss up in the nick of a dime. Somebody dropped him in our fantasy league. Pick Zach Moss up. The guy produced 2 touchdowns, 2 tutties for me. 2 tutties for me. And my running back's supposed to be a weak spot. I'm here. And that person I'm calling out, Dash.
Hey, we stank it up.
Dash, you don't have mistakes.
I'm 0-4. I'm 0-4 right now. And all my fantasy leagues, it's not going well. Don't listen to fantasy advice from me.
That's tough.
Is it me or does Alos look like Kirk Cousins today on the show? I don't know why. He's got a Kirk Cousins vibe to him. Like, you like that? I don't know why. No, you don't agree? Okay. Anyway.
I'll take it.
We didn't touch on this. We did not touch on this, and I won't make a big topic out of this. But did anybody happen to catch how close and how great Florida did against the Crimson Tide? Holy hell, they almost beat my Crimson Tide. I was hanging on to it in my seat there. For those of you who bet college football, I know Cody's a big college football bettor, and you should listen. You should once again subscribe to the TWSN Patreon because we were up this week. And we're making people a whole lot of, in the words of Alex Sagini, moolah. We're making people a whole lot of moolah. On the TWSN Patreon. But as always, guys, we appreciate you guys for joining us on the shows for a little bit of a longer one. But enjoy football this week. We'll see you next Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Game Changers on the TWSN YouTube channel. Take care, everyone.
The marathon continues. The Mamba mentality has left a mark. Shout out to the NBA legend, Kobe, and your daughter, Gigi, from Tom Brady to Drew Bledsoe. Rain, sleet, or snow, I grind. I am Clutch. I am the difference maker.